Hello everyone, I'm Magali. I'm a researcher at SLU in Umeå, and I'm sorry I will speak English today, but my Swedish is not good enough yet. And I will talk about the potential of camera traps to monitor wildlife populations and the possibilities of AI with it. Specifically, I will talk about camera trap management systems and recent developments, use of AI with camera traps, opportunities with camera trapping and AI, but also challenges, international collaborations, and estimating, or the possibility of estimating reproduction. So, as we just heard in the previous talks, the camera traps is often used and strongly increased also in the last decades. And we can see here also the number of publications where camera traps are used in the last 2 decades, which has strongly increased. And this means also that we need more and more images, actually, that we need to process, handle, and organize. And this can be challenging. And first of all, I want to ask you, so who of you has to some extent, manage, organize, process camera trap images? Yes, so there are quite some here. And do you sometimes experience any struggles with it? Like, yeah, exactly. So this is why we really need some systems that are developed for this to make our life a bit easier to manage all these camera trap images. And Wildlife Insights is one example that is widely used. Another example is Aguji. And Trapper. And Trapper is actually the system that we in our research group use here. And we really like this system because it's quite flexible, and it also allows to access the data from different softwares. And this is where it makes it also easier to train, for instance, AI models on the images. And this makes it, like, in general, more extensible and interoperable with. And Trapper also follows the international standards for an exchange format of camera trap data called CamTrap-DP. From a scientific point of view, a community of camera trappers made some steps in the right direction in the last years to develop these international standards. And this makes it easier to have one common format to exchange information from camera trap images. And this also improves or makes it easier for collaborations national and international level. And it's still an open question, actually, if this kind of common format would also be useful for wildlife managers. This CamTrap-DP has also been published in a peer-reviewed journal last year, where a lot of researchers in Europe that work on these camera trapping were part of, so also SLU. And now we will make a really quick trip to another continent. We'll quickly fly to Africa to show you an overview of how AI can be potentially used in wildlife monitoring. So we have aerial images from drones or satellites that can be used to detect animals and track their movement, as you can see on the pink and on the purple color. But it's also possible to model some kind of 3D structure in the environment, as you can see blue part. So you can think, for instance, of like forest cover that could be modeled with this. Posture estimation is a tool that allows researchers to estimate animal posture, which can be then be inferred to behaviors. You can see on the zebra these dots and lines in orange. And computer vision techniques also allow us for the identification and re-identification of individuals, as you can see on the zebra with the stripes. So I will now zoom into some more specific examples and also try to show some examples that are a bit more related to our ecosystem here in Sweden. So first of all, I want to introduce you to Megadetector. It's a model that can efficiently filter empty images and localize animals, humans, and vehicles on the images. And this model is trained on data from all over the world, and therefore is quite robust and well-performing on a lot of different data sets. And it's also open source, meaning that basically everyone can use it. And this is Megadetector is already implemented in Wildbild. Here's one of the very first papers in this field from 2018, who showed also that it's possible to classify species, so identify different species. You can see in the purple color also count animals in the green color, and also train the model to classify behavior. So if it's standing, moving, eating. This counting is already implemented in Wildbild as well. And species classification is something that we hope to implement soon. Similar to the stripes of the zebra, you can also use individual marks of lynx to distinguish between the individuals. And here's an example on the Iberian lynx in Spain, where they have started also to use AI to help with the identification of different individuals. But there are also developments to identify individuals that have no distinct marks, for instance, through the symmetry of the face. This is an example from the Bear ID project. And often we want to have individual recognition because we want to know something about the density of a population or the abundance. But there are also other ways to get information on density and abundance of a population. Some of you might be familiar with the random encounter model, and also Philip just mentioned it. This can be used even if we cannot distinguish between different individuals. But there are some measures that we need, or variables that we need for this model to work. And this is the distance from the camera to the animal, and also the angle at which the animal is detected. But you can imagine this is really time-consuming in the field, and also in the computer when we're watching through the images, to calculate all these things. And what have been done so far, so because you need to kind of orientate yourself on the image and the distances. So this is a situation or an example in Spain where they use the different stones as landmarks for different distances or angles. And from that you can infer where the wild boar is standing. But in the Swedish forest, this is not so easy. We don't have so many landmarks. Another approach that we used here were pointing poles, so that we know on the image at which distance the different poles are and at which distance the fox is passing by. But of course the poles can influence the behavior of the fox. So what we are doing now is we put the poles, and we as humans, when we set up the camera, we walk throughout the poles. The camera is taking images of us, and this is used as a reference image. So later on we can infer from that where the animal is standing. But this is really time-consuming. But this is actually the method that we use at the moment in the reference areas, as Philip mentioned. But there has been some developments. A team in Germany has developed a model that automatically estimates the distance from the camera to the animal through a depth model. So first it detects where the animals are standing, puts some mask segmentations on it, what is the green color there. It applies the depth model, and then it overlays the two. And then you can get from each individual bounding box, you get the distance, or the absolute distance from the camera to the animal. Another interesting development is the so-called pinhole camera model that worked well in quantifying the size in a reindeer. And size in individuals is often seen as an indicator of body condition. So this approach maybe, open much wider range of questions that we can actually answer on physiological health or on growth rates of animals. Another aspect that we can monitor with camera traps is the environment. Here an example with snow cover. But we can also train a model that can help us to classify the different snow cover classes more efficiently. But even if there are a lot of fast developments with AI, and it seems to be, a lot seems to be possible, which can make our life much easier, of course, there are a lot of challenges. And AI cannot replace us as humans. And one of the main challenges at the moment is still that models have difficulties to generalize, actually. So if cameras are located in different areas with a different background, in different habitats, you have to make sure that it works in all locations, or at least this is what we want. But this is something that still is challenging. Also, different camera models or brands can pose a challenge for models. And therefore, it's important to train our models on a really large variety of images. So from different locations, different habitats, day and night images, and also from different camera models. So this is why we're really happy this big picture project just got funded, which is a European project. You see all the countries that are involved in red. And with this project, we hope to join forces, because there are a lot of different research groups in Europe working on species classification, but we never worked together. And when working together, we can share the images and train the model on a much larger variety of images, which hopefully can help us with tackling this issue of generalizability. So let's move to the last topic. It's about estimating reproduction. One problem that has been encountered here, and also I think discussed at the last conference, is that we would like to have a kind of indication of the reproduction of the population during spring, summer, before the hunting season starts. So camera traps could be deployed in spring and summer, but then we have a lot of images that we have to process and in a very short amount of time. And this is where maybe AI could help. So I'm working at the moment on computer vision models that can maybe distinguish males and females in ungulates in general, and juveniles and adults. And with juveniles, I mean those that are born in that specific season. I'm focused here today only on the model for moose. And here you see some preliminary results of the model. So the model predicted 82% of the images, the correct sex. You see here an example image of a female moose, and the model predicted it as a female moose. You see the 0.99 is the score, so that says something about how sure the model is about that this is a female. And the value goes from 0 to 1. Another example of a male moose that is much harder to see also for us. And also the model has much more difficulty to classify it, but it does it correctly. Here are two examples where the model did not classify it correctly. So we have females, but it says that are males. But you also see that these are challenging images. So with really foggy, on this lower one, you only see like half of an animal. And there's also a nice visualization tool to see where actually the model is looking at. Here we see the example of the male moose. We can apply a heat map from the model, and you see the red part is where the model is focuses on to decide basically if it's a male or female. And then we can overlay those, and you see that the model is focusing on the antlers. And this is really important because if we simply provide images and we say, yeah, learn from those images, it could also learn to look at some kind of the background. So we really want to make sure that the model is looking at what we want him to look at. Some other examples, I know it's not from moose, but I wanted to show you this. Here, even if the roe deer has like the antlers are in development, it focuses on the right part. Another example that I liked is that you see that it's clearly looking at the antlers, but also kind of following the muscles, I would say. So I found that also really interesting. And here another example of a fallow deer, where what I liked, because to some extent it seems like if the model misses the antlers, it also looks at the genitals to see if there might be a penis. So yeah, it shows that at least it looks like the model is looking at what we want him to look at. Concerning the age model, that performed quite well, I would say. So we had, it predicted 94% of the images, the correct age class, so between juveniles and adults. So here an example of an adult, which was correctly classified, and the model was also pretty sure about it. An example of a juvenile. And here we also have an example where it was much harder to see, but it still saw it and also correctly classified the age class. So to conclude this part, it looks like we could use AI to speed up the process of classifying the age and the sex, and therefore also estimating reproduction. we can filter on these scores of the model to to choose to only that we humans then look through these through these images where the model was not very sure about it. These are preliminary results, so the model is still in progress. It's definitely not final, but it's promising, I would say. And at the moment, we are not training on a lot of different images, but if we increase that, we hopefully also get more robust models. And then the next step is then to apply statistical models like occupancy models, as John was mentioning also, where we can, from these images with the different age classes and sex, infer like reproduction. And we want, we are at the moment doing that or working on that, and also want to compare these reproduction estimates with EIOPS, and also see how these estimates differ between these reference areas where we have systematically placed cameras compared to those where we have opportunistically placed cameras from hunters, close to baits, for instance, and see if we could use or combine those estimates or could use these on a national level to get information on the reproduction. And I think with this, I want to thank you. And I think there is time for questions now.
Stort tack. Tack så mycket. Vi